And then she sends me this. And I'm like, girl, how this became this? What's the missing link here? What happened? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's a broken link. How can you like something like that and then you ended up with something like this? It's Saturday and it's midnight. If this is not passion and dedication, then I don't know what is. But anyhow, I finished a project and I learned a very, very valuable lesson that I want to share with you. I'm going to give you some context about the project and the client and then what we worked on. But basically, in a nutshell, the project was a house that a client in Australia was designing, and she had a local architect. She was going to permit the next few weeks, and then she got cold feet and she didn't like what her facade looked like. She was on YouTube trying to see how she can fix it, and she found me. She found this video actually where I talk about the process of how I design, and then she reached out to me and she said, you know what, I need you to save my project right now. I just want you to fix this facade for me. So if you're interested in knowing how we turn this into this, then please keep on watching. So let's start with the context of this project. I get a DM one day of a client. She reached out, she said, Malak, I watched your videos. I love what you do. I have a project that I'm working on. I have a local architect in Australia. I spent months and months trying to perfect the plans. I love my plans so much, but then I looked up and then I don't like the facade. She said, we're going for the permit, but if I permit this right now, there's no way back. I cannot modify anything about my facade. So can you help me with this facade? And she said in her text, she was like, can you help me with like some colors or something? I just want to make it look better. I can feel from her text that she was panicking. And I really felt for her. So I was like, okay, why don't you send me the pictures and the plans of what you currently have, and then I'll see what I can do about it. So, and she was like, you know what, can we get on a call right now? And I said, okay, I'm gonna go home right now and then we can get on a call. It was like super late there. And she's like, you know, I don't mind the time zone difference because I'm in California, she's in Australia. We have, I don't know, like 14 hours difference or something. But she was like, I just want to get on a call with you, just chat with you a little bit and see kind of what we can do about it, more of on a consultation thing. So she sent me this photo of her rendering. So I'm sharing my screen here, and then this is what she sends me. And I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. I had mixed feelings about this facade. Like, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. And that's like the worst position to be in, when your facade is not really good and you're like super proud about it. Like if you have a facade, you want to like show it to everybody. But I know it's not the best facade, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not that bad. But then we get on a call and then she is just like devastated. Like I can feel this heaviness in the air. She's like, I don't know, my architect is not giving me the time of day. She shared her screen and she was just like looking at it. She's like, I don't know what's wrong with this facade. I don't know what I don't like about it. There's no way I'm gonna spend $1 million on this thing. So I look at it, and to be honest, I didn't know what to say at the beginning because I was just like very quiet. Usually with my client calls, I'm very quiet. I'm just trying to like really read between the lines and see what they're trying to do. But she was really looking for help because she couldn't do it by herself. And then she was like, she really broke my heart because I can tell how hard she worked. Like she was so focused on the plan, but then she looked up and then she's like, what the hell? She's like, there's no way I'm gonna build this thing. So I looked at it and I said, okay, I see what's going on here. So I told her, so who designed this? Like I kind of wanted to get some background and some context about the project. She said, well, I really focused on the plan again, but when I looked at the facade, I didn't like it. So I tried to go online and I found like these frames and stuff. And I was hoping if I can add any of these, then it's gonna make the facade look better. I said, okay, keep talking. And then she said, and then the box didn't work, so I added more of these strips. I was like, okay. And then she said, but something still was missing. So I started adding colors. So she started adding this dark gray, and then she added this light gray. And I'm like, okay, we need to take a pause here. I don't think this facade needs any adding. She said, okay, well, do you think you can help me with some colors? I said, you don't need colors either. There's just like certain things that you can just fix by colors. Like a lot of people that don't have a design background, their first reaction is like, okay, colors. No, colors are not the solution. They are never the solution. The color is not gonna work if you don't have a good foundation. She's like, okay, so what do you suggest? I said, well, I don't know what to suggest right now, but I know for sure it's not colors. She said, okay, what do you think we can do? I said, well, why don't you let me get familiar a little bit with the plans, and then I'll see what I can come up with, because I think I am good at fixing facades, but I don't think I can come up with something like on the spot. It's like, you know, when you go to a doctor and then like they ask you to do an x-ray, and they need to gather some information before they give you a solution or like a prescription. So that's like the same case for me. I need my own time where I just digest my information and see what I can come up with. And she said, okay, I can give you a few days, but we're trying, if like we're not gonna go for permit tomorrow, at like the latest we should go to permit next week. And I was like, okay, no pressure at all. But you know, I just felt for her, because I told you she was super devastated, and I could feel that she was really sad. So I tried to ease her mind a little bit, and I was like, okay, don't worry, I got you, we're gonna work through this together. And she was a little bit relieved because I was on her team, and I was like gonna give her time to like bounce off some ideas and stuff. But then I hung up and then we hang up, and then she was like, okay, thank you so much, I really appreciate it, you're like probably the only person on this planet right now who can fix this for me, and I'm really, really grateful. I was like, okay, yeah, no problem, I'll try my best. I hung up on her, and I'm just like sitting there staring at this photo, and I'm like, how on earth am I gonna fix this? Like, there's no way. I was like, oh my god, what did I get myself into? Like, I cannot disappoint her. Like, she's literally relying on me on fixing this, so I had to deliver. And then after that, I sat there, and then I texted her and I said, hey, can you follow up with the plans please, and some inspiration photos? And then she sends me this, and I'm like, girl, how this became this? What's the missing link here? What happened? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's a broken link. How can you like something like that and then you ended up with something like this? So I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm like, okay, there's no way we can get you this. There's no way I can get you that, because looking at the plan, let me show you the plan actually. Looking at the plan, it's not the same shape. The placement of the windows is not the same. The style is not the same. Nothing is gonna work like that. But I can get you something that looks slightly similar to that. So let's look at this inspiration photo here and try to analyze it and try to understand why she likes it and why she doesn't like her current facade. So when I get something like this, I try to understand what the client likes and what they don't like, and I try to get in their head. The client usually have really hard time communicating what they like, so I try to do that on their behalf. So this facade right here, there is certain lightness to this facade. There's just like, when you look at it, you're just like, there's something very peaceful about it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the wood and the arches. But when I look at this facade is really like in your face type of thing. It's trying too hard. It got a lot going on. It's doing like many things at the same time. And it's just not giving you like, type of feeling. So, now that I understand what she likes, what she doesn't like, I can go to the plan and start coming up with things. So let's look at the plan here. I remember I was actually talking to my mom, and I was telling her, yeah, I got this project in Australia, and then I showed her the facade that her local architect did, and she's like, oh, it's not that bad. I said, well, Mom, don't say that, because I am trying to fix this, and if you say it's not that bad, then you're just like making me think I cannot fix it. And she's like, well, you know what, just pretend like you've never seen that facade. Just pretend like your client just sent you the plan, and just focus on the plan and start from there. And I'm like, oh, my mom is super smart. I was like, oh, interesting. You know what, you're right. What my mom was trying to actually say, my mom has no design background, but she's really smart. She was trying to tell me something about the first design principle. And if you're not familiar with the word first design principle, is actually when you try to break down a problem or a challenge down to its core. Like, forget everything you know, forget everything you learn, forget what you're looking at, just really boil it down to its principles at its core. So I'm gonna forget about this frame here. I'm gonna forget about these strips. I'm gonna forget about everything I saw. I've never seen any facade. My client, she doesn't even have a facade, okay? So let's now look at the plan. So when I look at the plan here, I'm gonna show you in a second also in 3D, but let's just look at it. So she has an entrance here, and this thing right here is double height space. So for the sake of my scope here, I have to focus on the windows because I cannot move those. So let's see what I cannot move and what I don't have control over. I don't have control over this window right here. What the hell is that? I don't have control over this window right here. I don't have control over this window right here. Window right here. Window right here. And then these sliding doors. This facade here is not that important, so let's just like focus on the facade right here. So those are the main parts that I need to look at. So what I did is I went to Revit and I just completely drew that plan. I didn't even like try to modify anything about it. I just drew it. So, and then it gets you something that looks like this. So if you notice here, we have a very, very important design feature. We have a double height space here, like I said, and double height space here. So these two windows are gonna be this massive double height windows, which is beautiful. So what we wanna do is we wanna capitalize on that. Those two are gonna be our anchors. I talked about the anchor concept in my plan video, but the anchor is also very relevant to a facade design. When you have an anchor, that's the first thing that the eye should be looking at. Like I said, the eye likes to be told what to look at. The eyes won't be like, okay, so what is important here so I can just focus all my attention on that. So we want to focus all our attention on those two windows. So now let's go to what I did here. So that's the double height space right there. And the double height space right there. That's it. That's, if there is anything about this facade, that's when we boil it down to its main first principle, those two windows is all that matters. Everything else just goes in the background. Everything else just fades in the background. Okay, so even though we are really focusing on these two windows, we're not gonna neglect the windows that we have here in the middle. This one and this one. They're small, so we're not gonna like try to frame them or celebrate them, but we're gonna get to that in a minute. So this is, by the way, the facade that we came up with. But if we look at the facade that the previous architect did, is that they went all the way to that double height space and then they broke it. Let me pick another color. They broke it in the middle. They broke this in the middle. And that is just a sad thing to do to a double height space. Double height space is something that you want to show off. Be like, look at this, I got a double height space. You want to be like, you want to really scream on top of your lungs and be like, look, I have a double height space. And then you go and you break it in the middle. That is just very, very missed opportunity. That's just a really sad missed opportunity. So the way this project was designed, like in terms of plan, is so monolithic that adding more to it in terms of frames and boxes and stuff is just gonna make it look even heavier and heavier. So we just wanted to, again, get that lightness and the airiness of this project right here into our project. And what we can do is we can really celebrate that double height space glass and then just frame it with wood, because that's also something that we grabbed from this, like the wood slats. We grabbed it and we put it here. Now, we talked about the double height space. Let's talk about these two windows right here. These two windows right here is something that she mentioned that she saw at a showroom, and she was just obsessed with that look, how the kitchen had it had a long window by the counter here, and it had a longer, and it had a horizontal window right here by the counter, and it had a vertical window. And she said, don't touch that, I want that to stay there. And I'm gonna show you the picture of the showroom she looked at somewhere here. I'm gonna insert it somewhere here, but I'm like, wow, that is quite the statement there. But I told her, how about upstairs? Like, what do you have upstairs here? And then when you look at the plan is a bedroom and a bathroom, I believe. She said, I don't care about the windows upstairs. You can do whatever you want with those. I said, well, if we're gonna do something like this that you have here on the first floor, that is so powerful and it's a really driving force that we're not going to be able to do anything to the second floor but mirror it, but copy paste in it, because it's otherwise it's going to clash, because this thing is really loud. Like her this thing right here is super loud. So whatever it wants to do, we're gonna just mimic it and do it on the second floor. So that's what we did there. And then of course the facade, because it's very monolithic, the house is really big, I just wanted to ground those 4 windows, and like I just framed it like that. So basically that was it. That's all that we needed to do. Of course we had to do some parapet here on top because of their local codes, if I recall correctly, but pretty much that was all the fix. Now, the lesson learned here is that when something is not working like this, and there's just so much going on, you just have to pause, take a step back, and just understand why it's not working, instead of just like going and start like sticking things to it. If it's not working for a reason, because there is a very fundamental piece that's missing. So it's not the colors, it's not the textures, it's not the LED lights or anything like that. Okay, so that's pretty much what we fixed in this facade. So when something is not working like this facade, again, I'm not saying this facade is not good. Like, somebody would die to have this facade, but for my client, if this is your style, then you will never like this facade. This will never be your style. You will never be satisfied with it. So everybody has a taste, and we cannot argue with that. So if she wanted something lighter, something more airy, we give her something lighter, something more airy. So when we came up with this facade, she was just stoked. She was so happy about it. And then she was like, oh my God, I'm showing it to everybody. And you know, like, when you have something that you're proud of, you want to show it to people. And she's like, oh my God, my brother was like, oh, what happened here? How did this become this? After we finished actually working on the facade, and then she sent it to her local architect, and then they went for permit, and then she came back to me, and then she said, well, I really liked working with you. I want you to work on my interior. So let me show you now the interior and how her plan ended up looking. So let me see here. So again, this is the facade. This is the double height space. By the way, I have to mention something about the double height space. These glass panels, I was a little bit worried about the structural integrity of that, and she told me that she had a friend who owns a construction company, and he was gonna take care of all of that. And I think she showed them the renderings, and they said we can find some panels that look like that. And then they had a structural engineer, so she said, don't worry about it, I love this look, I'm gonna make it happen, and even if it costs more, I'm gonna still pay for it. So again, we're gonna walk around. Actually the plan is pretty good, I must say. So this is the interior that we worked on. This is her kitchen. This is the situation window that she liked in the showroom. So you see the big window there, and you see the long window by the stove. That's something that she liked. I think architecturally it looks pretty cool, but from the facade it can be a little bit hard to work with. She had a pantry there and a laundry. She had a wet bar. And then we come here, and then there's the other double height space with that window on the other corner. Her dining room here, her living room, and then she had a backyard. So that's pretty much the plan inside. So that's pretty much the house from the inside. Actually, she had a pretty cool feature that I want to show to you. It's not really related to a facade, but I just wanted to show it to you. She had a bathroom upstairs. This is her idea. It was her design. She had a bathroom downstairs with a bathtub that looks down at the house. That's pretty cool. I know functionally, I don't know how they're gonna do that, and she's gonna have to do curtains and stuff, but there's just something so freaking bold about having a tub that looks down at the living room. I don't know where she saw that, but she was super proud of, and she mentioned it to me, and I was like, wow, that's really nice. Okay, so that's pretty much the project. So again, I think the moral of the story here is that when you have a project and things are not looking good, and you're not very proud of how it's looking, take a step back and stop adding things to it, because you're only making it worse. Really look at the first design principle. What is it that I really need here? In her case, she really loved her plan. She really loved the placement of her windows. So that was the non-negotiable, and then work from there. instead of just like jump into conclusions in terms of, yeah, let me make it better, let me add more things to it. You're just making it worse. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you regarding this project. Let me know if you have any thoughts about the project or if you have any questions. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye.